Rent a Hitman by Darcy Rose. It was just supposed to be another job. I'm a hitman, and my next target is attending a wedding. The perfect way to get close without causing suspicion. His quirky, bookworm, and cat loving cousin was my best way in. This is going to be so easy. A quick in and out, job well done, and cash in the bank. Or so I thought. I was like, did not want to get out of bed this morning at all. It's zero desire.
I also did not want to get out of bed this morning.
Well, only one of us had to work today, and it
Neither of
was
us
not
wanted
me.
to work today. It's a shit show.
Yep. My body woke me up at 7, as it has been doing, which is low key really annoying.
I wish my body woke me up at 7.
I wish it didn't. I used to be able to sleep in till like 9:30, 10 o'clock on my days off. And guess who doesn't do that anymore? Me. It's very annoying. But I guess it was for the best because I still had to read the book. So it's only 90 pages.
I know.
It took me not a lot of time.
That's
Like,
funny.
let's be honest. But what
Let's be
happened?
real, yo.
Let's be real, yo. So here's the thing too, is I started reading it and then I was like slowly falling asleep on my bed.
Slowly
Like,
dying.
so I was like, oh, let me take like a 20-minute nap. Should be great. Set a timer because I always set timers when I take naps. Woke up, I was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna go back to bed. And I was like, well, really and truly, this book will not take me that long. And as long as I start my notes by like 1:30, again, though, the notes won't be that long. So like I'll be fine. So I did. So I napped, but it wasn't enough. And I'm still tired and I want to go back to bed. But I shouldn't because I have other things to do.
So, I know this is not what we're here to talk about today, but honestly, it should have been.
Oh,
Because they did talk about Hitman. Um, I read Deceived by the Gargoyles
hmm.
by Lillian Lark as my reconnaissance book to see about the other book that we had discussed possibly reading. And I'm kind of mad that we didn't just read this one for our seasonal book. And honestly, I might just say let's do it. Because it has witches
Oh
and
boy.
gargoyles. 3 gargoyles, 1 woman. Not tragic, I'm telling you. I had
No,
a fabulous time.
I bet you did.
Fabulous time. Great time, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
I rated it 4.5 stars.
Damn.
Fabulous time.
That, yeah, you must have really had a fabulous time at
I
that
also
point.
didn't have to timeline it, but fabulous time.
See, and that's the problem is like I always have a great time until I have to timeline and then I have less of a good time.
They uh they have knots.
Oh, alrighty. Interesting. If you guys didn't know, we're already planning for Halloween.
Just getting our schedule put
We're
together.
always we're always planning ahead until we're not. And then we're planning week to week.
Until it's like, oh, we need a wheel. Oh shit.
Oh fuck. Literally finish the wheel the day we spin it, which is hysterical because it has happened more than once. But we are currently continuing our month of
Jeez.
May is for Hitman or Hitman May, or however you want to talk about it. And this week we read Rent a Hitman by Darcy Rose. And I'm just
Mhm.
going to tell you 16 times in my head, I said, hire a hitman. And I feel like that sounded better.
Well, she was renting a hitman. Because hire a hitman
I am
would
aware.
be,
I know. I know. But my brain just went higher. I think it's because the H's.
yeah, the alliteration.
Yes. Okay. This is a short little novella. When I say that, it's about like 90 pages. And it starts with Talon. That is this man's name, which is insane to me, but okay. And he is looking at his current target through an image on his screen. And this man's name is Paul Marshall. And he's just thinking, I am the man who's going to kill you. He doesn't know why someone wants him dead. All he knows is that they do. And that is enough for him.
You don't care.
It's not his job to ask any questions. Paul is in his late 20s and looks like a prick.
Couldn't be
So
me.
he couldn't
I'd
be
have all
me.
the questions.
I would too. I'm so nosy. I'd be like, well, why? And who? He scrolls through this man's Facebook profile, finding all the usual things. There's a few comments on one of the photos that catches his attention, asking if Paul is going to be at the wedding. So now he knows exactly where he's going to
Mm,
find him.
maybe a way in.
People are so lazy about protecting themselves. He is so sure, though, that Paul has no idea that there's any reason to protect himself. So he starts going through and clicks on the profile of the woman who asked if he's going to the wedding. And then he continues going down the rabbit hole of just trying to get himself acquainted with the people who are going to be there. And as he is going through, there is one name that catches his eye on the seating chart that the bride actually posted on Facebook, which I feel like is a little bit much. And
Wild.
usually you don't share those things, but I don't know because I've been
Wild.
married once and I didn't plan for it.
Plan a wedding, you mean, not plan to be married.
Literally, I got married. I got engaged to and married in 2 weeks, and I got married in my living room in front of a Christmas tree. There was no planning involved, and my mom was very unhappy about it. Anyways, but this is for Ainsley Marshall, and there is an empty space sitting like beside her with a question mark on it. And now he needs to determine to find out about Ainsley. Like, why is there a question mark? Does not take long to find her on Facebook, and he learns that she is single. She has a hairless cat named Klaus, a turtle named Bob, and Marley the parrot. And then he rolls his eyes at the fact that it's Bob Marley, but I thought that was funny. He continues going and finds it also easy to find her address and looks up the nearest pet store to her apartment because this man is going to insert himself into her life so that he can get into this wedding. He runs into her and he's immediately taken aback by her odd beauty. And it's not because of what she physically looks like, it is because she is dressed as what he can only describe as an old lady. And then he hears her talking to her cat as if he is a person. And he thinks that she is a strange girl, but she is intriguing and kind of cute in an
Her hairless
offbeat
cat,
way.
who is in a clear backpack at the pet store, mind you.
Yeah. And even if he wasn't trailing her to find out more about her, he might be tempted to follow her into the store. Ainsley is trying to find her cat, a named Cat Tree, because this cat destroys everything. And she ends up bumping into Talon. And honestly, Talon is a little intimidating.
Well,
And
scary looking.
yeah, and Klaus is meowing as this man is trying to get closer. And the man starts talking to her about the cat, saying he's never seen one like that before. And she goes, "Yeah, they're not super common, but I'm allergic and hairless cats are allergy friendly." No shit. They have no fur, so they're very allergy friendly. He says, "I had no idea." This, by the way, is the most awkward conversation between these two human beings. He asks her how long she's had her cat, and she says, "I need to go. I have things to do at home. It was nice meeting you." And she heads home.
She's such a judgy bitch, though, because she just sees this giant, intimidating looking man dressed
Tattooed
in all
man.
black with a tattoo of a skull on his wrist and hand, and she just automatically thinks he must be bad news and needs to get away from him. I mean, he is bad news, but she doesn't need to profile that.
I know. Well, we've met a lot of judgy bitches lately.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a judgy bitch, so I guess there's that.
yeah,
So, but
true.
I mean, I would be more intrigued by the tattoos and ask way more questions because I have a lot of mental health problems.
I don't know. I probably would be trying to get away because not of his tattoos, just because humans talking to me.
Yeah, but he's hot. I would get, okay, I would be the one kidnapped in a van at this point.
I would just be like, "Why are you speaking to me?"
We
Ladies and
would be,
gentlemen, this is why I'm single.
we would handle things very, why am I single? Well, I have my reasons. So she heads home, and it does not take her long to assemble this cat tree. And Klaus is in heaven. By the time she's sitting on the couch, he's just happy. And she's looking at the invitation to the wedding, still sitting on the coffee table. And she has a memory of a conversation she had with her mother saying that she has to RSVP by today. And even then, you're being rude by not have given your answer sooner. They have to get a final number for the caterer. Her family, by the way, really fucking sucks. But she knows that they're right. And she's just imagining yet another family function where she shows up single and she can hear it now with everyone talking about how she's not getting any younger and her biological clock is ticking. She asks Bob what she should do, short of hiring somebody. But then she thinks, oh, wait a second, that is a great idea. And she looks up online how to hire a date. But the problem ends up being that it's mostly men looking for women to hire. But then, right before she shuts the browser, one link pops up and it says rent a date, offering male escort services for party work events slash wedding, 100% professional and safe. And she thinks, you know what? Okay. And she clicks on it. And there is a description of her potential date male, mid 30s, 6'2", dark hair, green eyes. I would have been sold to the can we anyways, well spoken, attractive, immediately available. Now, it should be noted that I did not describe the man she ran into at the pet store, but it is literally this exact man because we all know where this is going at this point. She's thinking this has to be ridiculous, but it's the only thing she's found as a solution. There's an email address included, and she shoots off a message before she can like stop herself. And then she closes her laptop because she's a little bit embarrassed. And her cat needs dinner. By the time she sits down, a new email is on her phone, and it says, "You're on the schedule. Please confirm the details." Talon did not expect it to be so easy to make this happen because after she ran away from him, he knew he had to dig deeper into her life. There was just something so incredibly intriguing about her. So he hacked into her computer, and what he found, he just decided to create a male escort ad. It didn't even take very much, and she was just way too desperate to question
And
her
it
luck.
wasn't even like a good version. It was just like a hack job. And she just click, click.
Quite literally
He
a
was
hack
shocked
job.
that she fell for it.
Yeah. But for 2 weeks, like he waited thinking she's gonna cancel because he thought she would come to her senses after a day or two, but she didn't. So he stalked her on social media a little bit more to get more background into her family, confirmed his suspicions that she is the odd duck out of everybody. So now here he is wearing a suit and a tie, and he's almost forgot about Paul Marshall. I also almost forgot about this man and what he's actually supposed to be doing.
I didn't.
I did. Like why is he literally doing this in the first place? Because he just got distracted by Ainsley. And as he thinks about her, God, does his dick get really hard just thinking about her and how she would look with her lips wrapped around his cock. He gets to her apartment to pick her up a little bit and he gets there a little early, knocks on the door, and when she opens, he is shocked. Her dress looks like something out of a Disney movie. It is pale blue, a little shimmery, full skirt
It's a
that makes
full ass ball gown.
I picture Cinderella dress.
Full ass ball gown to go to a wedding.
Yeah.
Full ass, like,
Mm,
debutante ball gown.
yeah. She takes a step back and she asks, "What is he doing there?" And he goes, "You paid me to come here." And she goes, "I didn't know it was you." Talon says, "What's wrong with me?" And while we're on the subject, why would you invite some man into your house you know nothing about that you didn't even ask for a picture? Fair point. And she stumbles over her words and asks her cat to attack him. Obviously, Cat's not doing this. The cat doesn't even care. And all she does, she just tells him that she just didn't expect him. He asks her if she is scared of him and takes a step towards her. He ends up caging her in, and he just thinks if she's ever had a man, there's just an innocence around her. But at 25, there's no way she's still a virgin. Guess what, guys? Yes, it's true. She is actually a virgin. He ends up backing off, and she says, So you're really the person assigned to me. And he goes, that's right. And your deposit has already cleared. So we're kind of sort of locked in here. No refunds, but you are safe with me if that's what you're worried about. Ainsley says, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. I am so sorry that I tried to slam the door in your face. Talon apologizes and said, I'm sorry I scared you. He asks her if she's dressed correctly for this wedding because he is worried that he is dressed a little less formally.
I don't think he's worried. I think he's just checking on her to make sure she knows what she's wearing and doing
Yeah.
it politely. Like, am I dressed okay?
Yeah,
Like, we're clearly not.
he's like, you're dressed like more formally than I am. Like, should I be wearing a tuxedo? She goes, well, I just thought it was pretty. The girl at the store said it was made for me. Do you think it's too much? And I feel
She
like
starts to panic. It's so funny.
I feel like someone should have told her it was too much. In his brain, he's like, this girl needs help. They are going to eat her alive at this wedding. I've never met any of her family, but I already know this. But he does tell her that it does look like it was made for her. He just doesn't want to be the odd man out at this wedding. But off they go. And Ainsley is shaking. She's trying to relax, but of course, this man had looked like he had wanted to kill her and wear her skin the first time they met in the store. But literally, those are her exact words. But she is just trying to tell herself it'll be fine, it'll be fun. And then she sees what he meant about feeling the dress was a little bit more formal because compared to everybody walking into the church, she is very overdressed. Her aunt makes a big deal of her dress and says, you might outshine the bride. And her uncle reminds her of how much she never really liked him by saying, we all know that's impossible. No one can outshine our little car. Gag me, because that is the they see Talon, and the aunt asks if he is a friend of the bride or groom, and he tells her that he is a friend of Ainsley's. And they're in a little bit
How
of a
rude.
disbelief, but really and truly, they're her whole family is rude. And I don't know if picking this book before you had to go to a wedding was probably the best idea. There keeps being murmurs about so many like things going on, but she's really noticing that people are staring at her because of the gown. And she's thinking this was a terrible idea. Girl, it was a very terrible idea. But Talon thinks she looks beautiful. So, like, that's all she thinks about. She does reach the pew where her mom is sitting, and the mom looks at her and says, what are you wearing? I swear, you're 25 years old and you still need somebody to dress you.
I need
Talon
somebody to
cough.
dress me. I'm 35.
Yeah. Talon coughs and leans down into her ear and says, I could still go outside and get a squirrel. It would liven things up a little bit. And she tries not to giggle, and her mom glares at her. The ceremony quickly is over, blah, blah, blah. And Talon says that he was hoping there would be at least one person standing up to dispute the marriage. But they are off to go to the reception, which is down the road. She gives him a rundown of who they will be seated with, which will be her parents, um, her uncle, her other Aunt Mary, and her cousin Paul. He
Oh, yes,
catch,
that Paul.
yeah, that Paul. He catches on that she doesn't really like Paul that much, and she lets him know that when they were kids, he stuck her in a toy chest and sat on the lid so she couldn't get out. But realistically, she doesn't like anybody in her family because they don't like her. So my question is, why would you go? But it is, I think it's the people pleaser thing of just doing it anyways. Oh, I
Huh.
saw a people pleasing TikTok that I almost sent to you, and I said, oh, no, but I want to. But I want to. When they get to the table, Paul is already standing behind a chair with a suit jacket and talking to his Aunt Mary. And when Paul sees them approach, he says, so Ainsley finally found a guy willing to be seen in public with her. This is a day for celebration. He is a dickhole, by the way, and definitely fucking deserves to die. Honestly, her entire family sucks, and I would have been cool if the hitman had just taken out a hit on everyone in this family.
I want to know who took the hit out.
So I want to know as well. And I was hoping for like so hard. I was hoping that it was Ainsley, and that would have made me happier. Like I would so okay, here's what I wanted to
I was
happen.
almost hoping it was the bride.
That would have been funny. Cause I mean that would make sense because she does get along with the bride a little bit. I was hoping that when he does the things he does later on and he finally sees her apartment, she's got like one of those charts on the wall with Paul. And I thought that that would have been amazing. Anyways, Ainsley introduces Talon to Paul and Mary says, if your date understood the dress code, how is it you became so confused? This isn't a black tie event. They shit on her dress again. And Talon does go to bat for her and says, how does Ainsley wearing a pretty gown affect the lawyer's business? And Ainsley's a little shocked that he knows anything, but he explains that he did his research before he came. She does not need to know all of the research that this man did, though. There's more stuff that happens with her mom being an asshole and Talon standing up for her. And it just gets to the point where finally Paul just says, listen, I admire your balls. What a shame. You probably won't have them by the time the night's over. I would offer my condolences to Ainsley, but I can't imagine her finding any good use for them at all. I'm like, yo, no wonder someone wants this man dead. Like, what? This is why I was like, dude, I wish Ainsley would have been this person because I think that that would have been amazing. All Ainsley can think about through all of these interactions of Talon defending her is that she needs to be careful or she could end up falling for a guy she just met. Now, listen, I know that that is Elsa mindset, but she is more of an Anna. Am I wrong? Anyways, Talon, if he didn't have a job to do there, he would just grab her cousin by the back of the neck and smash his face into the punch bowl. He is so mad that all of these people are taking digs at Ainsley. He is slowly losing his grip. And this could be a problem. It is bad enough that he has spent way too much time stalking her and her family online. And now he's making up stories about her in his head about how she is as a person because he's thinking, well, she could go to the animal. He is kind of losing his mind a little bit here because, well, he lost his mind a long time ago, but that's besides the point. Ainsley thanks him again for saying all those things to her parents, and he says, I was just defending you. I would do it again. But he really needs to focus. He has a job to do. And the last thing he needs to do is give his target's cousin his phone number because it was very tempting to continue this after this date. He remembers, how happy and proud she looked when he set everybody straight. Once the meal is over, they walk around the venue getting drinks at the bar before going outside. Paul, standing outside, talking to some other people and just kind of like talking shit. Because this all this man knows how to do is run his goddamn mouth. He's just shit talking Ainsley, actually. Just shit talking Ainsley. And Ainsley then tells Talon like a little bit more about her family, and she does say that not everybody is that bad. Caroline's actually really nice. Caroline's the bride, by the way. And sometimes she just wishes that Caroline wouldn't be so nice, so then she wouldn't feel so bad about hating her. Talon asks if she really does hate her, and he's also side eyeing Paul being very, very drunk and thinking, like, wow, it really wouldn't take much to break his neck and throw him over the side to just make it look like an accident. And Ainsley says, not really, just Caroline is perfect and I can't help it. Talon says, I guess, if you're into vapid bleach blondes, they just have some cute little banter. She asks about his family because she talks about the tattoos and stuff and the tattoo on his hand and asking if the tattoo on his hand is a family thing. And he goes, it was. So I will say, one of the funniest things that this man says is she asks if he has a family, and he goes, no, I was hatched from an egg and picked up on the beach.
Seems
Which,
legit.
I mean, yeah. And he says, yeah, but all his family does have matching tattoos, and the tattoo keeps them with him even when they're not together. Ainsley tells Talon that he is a very interesting person, and she is so sorry she misjudged him when they first met. And now it is time for the bouquet toss. And Talon is telling her, "You should go and do this." And Ainsley says, "I don't know who would want to marry me. I'm not." And then she pauses and she like kind of catches herself. She goes, "Listen, I'm not expecting an answer." And Talon says, "I still think you need to get your ass out there. And anybody who tries to get in your way needs an elbow to the face." She does end up catching the bouquet. And next is going to be the garter toss. And she tells him all he has to do is catch the garter because whoever catches it has to put it on the leg of the girl who caught the bouquet. He does end up with the garter. He also broke somebody's nose. I mean, he could have done it without causing bodily harm, but like it wouldn't have been as satisfying. And now he's going to put the garter on her in front of all these people. By the way, Ainsley hates attention, which, in my opinion, you wore a very attention dress. As soon as they're done, she says that she needs some fresh air. And considering how much Talon would like to take her right then and there, he could also use some fresh air. When they get outside, she thanks him and says, "I thought this wedding would be another painful family event, but you made it special. And nobody has ever been with her like this before." And he tells her that, well, they were all idiots. And she says, "I mean, you don't have to." And he stops her and says, "You don't tell me what I have to do. I know what I'm doing." And then they kiss. And then they're getting a little bit more sloppy with the kissing. And he tells her, "Let's go somewhere alone." And then she panics and runs away to the bathroom. And she heads to a bathroom stall. And she's thinking to herself, well, that was stupid. And she almost bursts into tears because, like, that was the first really hot kiss she's ever had. And, like, her nipples are hard and she is so wet. It's almost alarming. And she's thinking, he couldn't mean it. And that's why, like, I had to run. My whole life, everybody's been giving me crap about being me, and I've never been good enough and smart enough or pretty or cool or any of that. And she closes her eyes and tries to calm down a little bit. She realizes that she should probably apologize to him, and he's been nothing but sweet all day, going above and beyond. And then she's thinking, but what if this is all an act? Like, to just keep me happy? Would he go so far for a good review online? Maybe like a little bit of word of mouth business thrown his way. I don't want to believe that he would be like that, but I don't know him. And honestly, it was probably for the best that she ran and stopped everything. Now they both have time to cool off and get their heads together. And he definitely needs to cool off. She might be a virgin who's hardly ever been kissed, but she knows how to tell when a man is aroused. And man, that boy has a big dick. She, she flips the lid down on the toilet and gathers up her skirt and takes a seat. And all of a sudden, the door opens to the bathroom and girls are pouring in and they're talking about how hot Talon is. They don't know his name, but that's who they're talking about. And that they need to hurry up and get with him because he's been practically attached to Ainsley the entire night. And they have no idea where she found him. Maybe it was one of those charity things because what the hell is he doing with her? Maybe his eyesight's bad. And she's thinking, like, what the hell? Like, they're laughing about the fact that they think that this is a charity case. And she's realizing that he spent the whole night making me feel good about myself and made me feel beautiful. And then she's like, "Yeah, but you're paying him." And she goes, "No." She's worrying with herself in her brain. Those girls don't know me. And from the way it sounds, I wouldn't want to be friends with any of them, anyways. And she can't let them do this to her. But they were right about one thing. He is not there because he likes her. He is there because she is paying him. But she wasn't paying him to kiss her. Girl, you're the spiral this woman goes down. But like no matter how many times she goes over this in her head, it doesn't make sense. Maybe she's the problem. "Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me." And I'm excellent fun until you get to know me. Sorry. She's heard so many times for so long that she's worthless and weird. So what is she going to do? For once, she is going to make the most out of this opportunity. She needs to get a move on before any of those girls get their hooks into him. Because how many books has she read where the heroine needs to dig deep and surprise herself by being brave? bitch, okay. And she steps out of the stall and she's thinking, he wants me. He wouldn't have kissed me like that if he didn't. So she heads out. She can't find him though. Then all of a sudden, she hears a voice that says, there you are. I thought you ditched me, left me with these assholes, and says that there is unfinished business between the two of them. He does not like being run out on, and he is not going to be denied what he wants. And she asks, what does that mean? And he says, we are finding somewhere to be alone right now. So they head to a closet and they lock themselves in there. And he starts working up her skirt and sliding his hand up her thigh. And then he starts to get her off with his hand. And then he starts to fuck her and realizes, oh shit, she is really tight. And realizes, oh shit, that she was a virgin, but not anymore. And knowing that he's,
London Bridge would be down. He's like, oh shit.
yep. But knowing that he's the only one is enough to wipe his mind free of reason and control. And the only thing stopping him from fucking her mercilessly is knowing that it wouldn't be fair. He wants to like fuck her, but more than that, he wants to protect her. And he whispers, you didn't tell me, as he is buried balls deep inside of her. And she says, you didn't ask, which, okay. And then they fuck really quickly. And when they said, well, you've never had a quickie at a wedding, this sex scene was also a quickie. Didn't really exist.
Losing the virginity as a quickie.
Yep. Um, Now he wishes that they were somewhere else and that she could have had the kind of first time he would imagine her dreaming about. And she says, I can't believe we did that. Do you think that anybody saw us? And Talon says, you would not be the first person to have a quickie at a wedding. And if they did see us, good for them. This will really give your family something to talk about. They decide that they're going to go out separately, and he makes sure that she's okay. And she says, I'm fine. They go their separate ways. And he really needs to get away from her before he does something stupid like ask her to marry him. The party is still raging on, and he really needs to find Paul. And he finds him leaning against the bar, actually kind of like draped over it. Like this man is so drunk that he doesn't even know how Paul is still standing. So he gets another drink from the bartender and ends up slipping in some powder to the tequila and gives it to Paul. And now his job is done. And he should leave, but he can't just kill a man and abandon her. He just gave her what is her first experience. He can't leave her now because if he disappears, he becomes one of those assholes and he might be a murderer, but he is not an asshole. He does eventually find her and they leave to go back to her apartment. Instead of making her sweat about inviting him upstairs, he tells her that he really did have a nice time and it's rare in his line of work to genuinely enjoy a job.
Rare, but it was there.
I remember it all too well. Ainsley asks if he's just saying that, and he goes, not a chance. She does not know that he just murders people for a living. This is not his actual job. She says, I had fun too. He reassures her that he does not fool around with his clients, and they part ways. He knows that he's going to see her again, but it won't be at the pet shop.
See you again. The last time
Good Lord. Um, in fact, she won't even know that he's watching. What does this man do? Oh, well, he's going to set up cameras in her apartment. This one went from
Zero to
hiring
hero, just like that.
hiring a hitman to being stalkery real quick. And it was like kind of stalkery in the beginning, but now he goes, nope, I need to put cameras in your apartment. So the last 30% of this book was insane. And like, listen, she struck him as a smart girl. But like, how stupid could she be that her security to get into her building? He's like, I could get in with a piece of gum. This is very easy to get in. So her security, terrible. He doesn't know what it is about her, but he wants to put her in a bubble so that all of her innocence goes untouched. But he also wants to bend her over the bike rack that he sees when she goes to her job at the library and fuck her. Like, Once he gets into the apartment, he hears this ear-piercing squawk from Marley saying,
What?
Klaus is a good boy." He, he unscrews the grates over the air ducts and puts cameras inside. He brought his tablet along so that he can pull up the feeds one at a time, and he maneuvers them so he can see her bed from the vent. The bed, by the way, smells just like her. The entire apartment does. No shit. It is her apartment. Why wouldn't it smell like her, is my question. But it's just something uniquely her before he leaves her room, and he looks inside her dresser and takes a pair of her panties. And then he leaves. But as he is leaving, his heart is heavy. If he can't be with her, then this is the next best thing. Like, he can't even guarantee it would be safe to walk back into her life so soon after Paul's death. This keeps him going. He got the cameras so that he can still spend time with her. He wouldn't even be sure if he could see her anymore if he went to prison. So, you know, later on that night, he grabs popcorn and brings up the cameras because his show is about to begin, which is so wild that that's what he refers to it as. And he just watches her go through her nightly routine, but watching her turns him on, and he ends up jerking off to her into the panties that he stole. And now he knows this is not enough. He is not going to get a minute of sleep if he does not do something about this. So after watching her prepare for bed, he grabs his jacket and his lock-picking tools and heads back out and goes to her apartment. When he gets in, he crosses the living room, and all of a sudden, something comes flying out of nowhere, and it's Klaus attacking him. And it wakes up Ainsley, and she asks, "Who is out there?" and catches her off guard that he is now there in her fucking apartment. Ainsley thinks, this can't be happening. Like, I have to still be sleeping. Like, I haven't been able to get Talon out of my head for days. Of course, this is a dream. He reassures her that it is not a dream. He is truly there and says, "Look, I can explain all of this. And like, I want to trust you. I want you to trust me." Like, and he has covered her mouth because she was about to scream. He goes, "Listen, if I take my hand away, do you promise me you're not gonna yell?" And she agrees. She really does want to believe him. Plus, she can't fight him and risk him losing his temper. She asks what he's doing there, and he tells her that he just wanted to see her. And she goes, "There's such thing as a phone." And he goes, "Listen, I know, but I wanted to see you now. It's really not that easy to explain. I haven't been able to get you out of my head for a minute since Saturday at the wedding, and I know this is unconventional, and I could have done things the normal way, but that's never been the way that I do things, and I've been dying to touch you for days." She must be out of her mind, and like he clearly is, but it doesn't matter right now. Like, her brain and her body are screaming for more. And now that she has him there, she wants to beg him for more. So she tells him to touch her, and then he eats her out, and then they fuck. They get cleaned up, and she's thinking, well, that was amazing, but he also broke in here, and he might be a total psycho. But she figures, they can figure it out the next day. The next morning, Ainsley wakes up instantly wide awake and regretting last night. It's funny how it seemed like it was a good idea at the time. Like, not a good idea by rational standards, but her body was all in. But now it's a different story. Talon is snoring away beside her, and he is the first man that she has ever shared a bed with. He is also the man who broke into her apartment, but he also stood up for her when nobody else would, and he made her feel beautiful and desirable and worth sticking his neck out for. Does this really excuse his break-in? I I mean, girl, you're excusing it. She decides that she needs to get out of there. She does not want to be there when he wakes up because she doesn't even know what she would do. She grabs her pajamas off the floor, rolling out of bed as gently as possible, heads out to the whatever living room. She sees her phone on the coffee table, which, by the way, is what he bumped into when he came into the thing, so it's slightly crooked. And there are three missed calls from her mom, and it's barely 7 a.m. Her mother, was a
7
wreck.
a.m., my usual morning lineup.
Her mom was a wreck after getting word of her cousin's sudden heart attack. But you know what? Paul liked to party, and Ainsley wouldn't even be surprised if it was more than alcohol he enjoyed at the wedding. Yeah,
And it
Ainsley?
was.
And his heart probably gave out. She couldn't really bring herself to cry. She's not like happy about it or anything, but she's not going to pretend that she's heartbroken. All of a sudden, Talon says, "Where are you going? You're not trying to run away from me, are you?" And she goes, "What if I am? And even if it is, you should be the one to leave. This is my home." Talon says, "You're right. This is where you belong." And she says, "So you're the one who needs to go." He tells her he is not going anywhere and that they need to talk. This is very important. She tells him, "Listen, my mom keeps calling. She's not going to stop because her phone keeps going off as he's trying to have a conversation with her. She's not going to stop until I answer." And, she's upset. And Talon says, "I've never had a close family, but I guess it's tough to lose a part of one all of a sudden." And then it hits her. She goes, "How did you know someone died?" And he tries to gaslight her into like not, yeah. And they finally go back and forth. And she says, "I'm going to ask you for the truth. How did you know about Paul being dead?" He makes sure that she really wants to know. And he admits that he knew about Paul's death because he caused Paul's death, because it was his job. He was assigned to kill her cousin, and he did. And because he knows how to do his job, there won't be any trace of what he used on him in his system. And there's not a chance of them connecting Paul to him because even the account you sent payment to is under a false name. He needs her to believe that he has been honest with her about Paul. So she needs to understand that he is telling the truth, that he has nothing to hide from her. And she asks, "Who would want to kill Paul?" And he goes, "Listen, I only knew the man for a few hours, and I wouldn't bother asking that question. You've known him your whole life. Do you think there was any shortage of people who wanted him out of the way?" And she asks if he is going to kill her. And he goes, How how could you even think that?" He is very offended by this. But he does apologize to her for everything and that it was not his intention to hurt her. And he could have left the reception after he gave Paul the powder, but he couldn't. Like, he stayed because of her, and that no one in the world will devote himself to her the way that he will. Never again will anyone make her feel small or like an outsider, that she can't pretend she doesn't feel it, what's between them. And, it's real. So don't ask him to spend his entire life wanting her without being able to touch her. Ainsley asks, What if I did ask for that?" And he says, "You would be wasting your breath because I'm not letting you go. You are mine. You can't fight what's meant to be. There's a reason we were brought together, and I'm not letting you go." And she just says, "We'll see." And then we get an epilogue, which is 2 months later.
Which that was so weird. We'll see. And then
Yes, 2 months later. Guess what they're doing right now? They're going to adopt a new cat. And she's kind of accepted what he does as a living. Like, she just doesn't ask questions, especially when he's super deep into research. And the only thing that she requests is that he never uses a girl again to get us to his target. And then that's the end of the book. They adopt a cat that spoke to him. It's another hairless cat. That was something.
it was something. It was something. You are
So,
correct.
who was your favorite character? I'll go first. I like the cat.
I was gonna go with that too, actually, weirdly enough.
I loved the cat. He was great. I always love an animal in a book. I love
Sold.
that. Who was your least favorite?
Her whole family.
Honestly, didn't like her whole family. Honestly, didn't like Ainsley. Really didn't like her. I don't know. I personally would have made sure to okay. I am a very big person. If I'm going somewhere, that I quadruple check the dress code, because I am not about to be one to show up underdressed or overdressed, because I don't want that kind of attention. Wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
So Amazon gives us a 4.1 and Goodreads a 3.9.
Where did you settle?
I settled on like a 3-ish. Yeah, like a 3.
I originally went with a 3.5. And talking about it, I think it's on the lower end of a 3.5, but I'm too lazy to change it. So,
I don't know. I think I wanted more out of it. I really did until like he mentioned something. I forgot that the whole goal was he had to kill Paul. And I that was kind of like a it was so okay, done in like 20 seconds of like slipped it into his drink. Okay, he's cool, dead. Bye. He didn't
yeah.
even double check that he was dead. He just slipped it in there. It was
Yeah.
like, all right, good.
And like, right, doesn't he have to like prove that he's like it's
Right?
just
I want to know who put the hit out, but that's just me
yeah.
being nosy. And I don't know, there's just a lot, especially with that specific plot. I understand that, like, yeah, this was kind of more focused on them, but at the same time, like, that's his
Mm,
job.
yeah.
He's not very good at his job, apparently.
Clearly
Like,
not.
I mean, I guess Paul's dead, so like I guess he's good
Maybe
at
he
his
is
job.
good at his job, right?
Yeah, but still, like that is that there was just some like eh. And then I don't know, like I understand the quickie thing, but like you could have put more detail into the quickie.
Yeah,
Like
my
what the fuck?
spice rating is not, it would
Like
have been
the
a Blano for me.
yeah, I'm probably gonna go about the same. I'm gonna yeah. Yeah, I just it wasn't as descriptive as I wanted it to be, and it did feel kind of like again literally after I read the quickie, I was like, oh, so like an actual quickie, like we're gonna fit the vibe of the moment. I don't know if I was just tired and cranky or like what the fuck was going on, but I was like, I just, meh. I was feeling meh. Survivability, I would have been fine, but I also would not have shown up to the wedding in that dress. And also, I would have cut my family off years ago, and I probably wouldn't have been in this situation in the first place because I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I say that
Mm.
verbally, but I don't know
I
if I
just,
could.
I definitely am a big advocate of do not go where you're not wanted. And clearly, none of her family fucking likes her. She doesn't like any of her family either.
Yeah.
She didn't even really like the bride. Like, and the bride was what, her cousin?
Yeah.
It would be different if it was like an immediate family member, then
Yeah, and you
yeah, I
felt
would go.
obligated. Yeah.
That's a little different. This is a cousin, okay? You can be like, sorry, bitch, I'm in the ocean. I don't know. I'm somewhere else. I'm on vacation with some margaritas getting
Oh my
fanned by
goodness.
hot men.
She's in Margaritaville.
I would,
Anyways,
yeah, anyways.
that wraps up Hitman
Uh,
for May, which stinks because we love some Hitmen.
yeah.
Next month, we are diving into some MM romance, some
Because
FF
it's
romance.
Pride
We
Month.
don't, we feel like we we come across it here and there with our books, but we don't get enough of it. And sometimes it's really good shit.
Dude,
So
sometimes
we're going to
sometimes
devote
those
a
MM
whole month
books
of
are
specials.
like
I have a weakness for some MM books. Chris
literally
likes the FF stuff. That's not
okay,
truly my
so
scene.
here's the
Someone,
thing.
I've only
I've
had
been
one that I was like actually into, but
I like some of them, but they have to but the problem is really researching for them is really
mm.
difficult. I do like a good MM book, and of course most of the fanfics I read
And
are
I love
MM.
me some
And
polyamorous books. I'm here for
yes.
some sword
So
crossing and
it's just we don't do enough of them. Um and we figured why not?
yes.
Because why not? So
Yes.
yeah, so sadness for the Hitman month to be ending. But
But we're
we
off to
have
June.
we have so many more things planned and we're excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
So check it out next time and make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty. A quick in and out job. Well done. And cash in the why can I speak? And cash in the bank. I'm gonna redo this because that was so bad.
If you're redoing it, hold on, let me get cheese. My kid made maple syrup at school today.
Oh, that's cute.
They've been tapping trees for like weeks and stuff, and they've
That
made
is
maple
the
syrup.
most backwoods thing I have ever heard.
They literally are tapping trees at our school and
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And that just goes back because all I could think about was I had this conversation the other day. I was I was talking to about it. I was like, yeah, you know, your ex-girlfriend, I swear to God, she was so obsessed with me that she just probably wanted to cut my skin off and make me into a lamp. And he goes, he didn't understand the reference. I was like, have you never seen Silence of the Lambs? He goes, no. I was like, he knows the line. It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
But what does he just think people just say it?
So I explained it to him. I don't know why it says CC how Riley. I don't know what any of those words mean. And I'll pause it at some point when my mouse reappears. And then they separate. I don't know why I wrote separate ways. They go their separate ways. Oh shit, I'm gonna run out of time. I didn't even think about that. I wasn't paying attention. Anyways, speaking of attention. Attention. End.